Welcome back. Today in our Sunday Spotlight, we're talking Christmas trees. People are already tagging them, and some have even cut their tree down already. What's the supply of fresh trees going to be like this season? Kathy Kogut knows. She's the executive director of the Connecticut Christmas Tree Growers Association. Kathy, thank you for being with us on this Sunday morning, and tell us, what can people expect if they head out today or next weekend to their local Christmas tree farm?
Well, everybody's excited about getting the Christmas tree. The word on the street that there's a shortage. So people are really excited to get out there and hoping they can find the perfect tree. So I know people are planning to leave early and get out there, and hopefully they can get the one they want. We're asking them and reminding them to call ahead to make sure they're not disappointed.
All right, so tell me about what you just mentioned there, that word on the street of a shortage. Is it true, and does that just affect Connecticut farms, or is it all over the place?
I will tell you that there will be no farm in Connecticut that you will not be able to get a Connecticut grown tree at. You might not be able to get it at the farm you're used to going to, but there's plenty of trees in the state of Connecticut for people to have. The shortage is the supplemental trees that come in from out of state or from Canada that people supplement their regular inventory with.
All right, let's talk about those Connecticut trees first, Kathy. We love those local Christmas tree farms, and people have those places that they go every single year, that annual tradition of going to pick out the tree. So what can they expect at the farm? I mean, is it maybe you have to have a different variety than you did last year, a different size? You have to be a little more flexible this year?
Well, Mother Nature always plays games on us. So this year we had a lot of water and a lot of the trees, some of them were damaged. So maybe the favorite tree that you're used to getting might not be available this year. So you may have to decide on a different variety or a different species. But more than likely, your farms, if you go out early, you're going to be able to find the tree that you really wish to have.
And we're looking at some pictures of some of these local Connecticut farms. And Kathy, this is a long play for your members, right? Because it's not like if you have a wet year and you lose some trees, you can recover quickly. Those trees, you have to be planning ahead on these farms, right?
Right. It takes 8 to 10 years for a tree to be harvestable. And what happens is if you get a year where there's a drought or there's too much water or seedlings die, you lose your cycle of your trees. So if you're used to having X amount of trees to sell each year and you have one of those bad years in between, it messes up the cycle of how many trees will be available at your farm.
All right, let's talk about those out-of-state trees. You mentioned that some of the smaller farms do bring in out-of-state or even from Canada to supplement what they have here. What's the issue that we're dealing with those out-of-state trees? Why might that be an issue this year?
Well, this year in Canada, they had a late frost and a lot of the balsams were damaged, so they're not available. Down south in North Carolina, where a lot of the trees come up from, the freight is just too expensive to bring them up, and the cost of the trees would be too expensive for the local farmers to sell. There's just been, the worst part is for the fundraisers who have tree lots and not necessarily a farm. These people bring in trees to sell and have raise monies for their organizations, and those people have gotten cut short this year really badly.
Yeah, so that's going to be certainly a tough situation for them, and maybe even more reason to look for those Connecticut-grown Christmas trees from the members of your association. Right. I'm sure you get this question all the time, Kathy, but everybody wants to know when they get to that Christmas tree farm, wherever they're going to pick out that tree, how do you pick one that won't drop its needles? What should you look for? And then what do you do when you get home before you put it in that tree stand?
Any tree that's coming off of a farm this year will certainly be fresh because we had so much rain this year. So the trees will be fresh. But if you take your fingers and run it across the branches and it's supple and it's smooth and no needles fall off, you know it's a fresh tree. What you need to do is you need to make a fresh cut on the bottom and you need to keep it hydrated. If you're going to be buying your tree early this year and you're going to have it up for more than 4 or 5 weeks in your house, you have to be sure and faithful to check that stand day and night. Make sure there's water in the stand so that that tree never runs out of water. Once it does, it seals off on the bottom and then it will not take any more water up. So you really have to be faithful about watching for the water levels.
And as far as when you get to the Christmas tree lot, I know I've heard in the past that if you look inside the tree and see some brown needles, don't be alarmed by that, right?
Right. That's just Mother Nature. Those are old needles and they shake right out. So it's okay to have some brown needles on the inside.
How about timing this year? I know a lot of people, I know in my family, we always go the Sunday after Thanksgiving. A lot of people have that kind of standard day every year when they go. Should you maybe go a little earlier? Is that a better piece of advice this year?
I don't think that it's going to make a big deal for 1 week, but I wouldn't wait till the middle of December to go get your tree this year. I would definitely do it, in the next couple of weeks.
And what are you hearing from your members? Are there people nervous out there that, they won't be able to deliver exactly the tree that, any given customer wants?
Yeah, many of our members already said they're only going to be open for a couple of weeks because then they're going to run out of their supply. Some of them said people are already coming to their farms looking for trees. And people are just anxious. Like I said, word on the street is there's a shortage. So people are really nervous that they're not going to be able to get a Christmas tree this year.
All right, we only got about 30 seconds left, Kathy. How about COVID? Is there any concern? Obviously, this is an outdoor activity largely, but what are your members doing about that?
Everyone is very careful. If they have gift shops, they make people wear a mask in their gift shop. They ask you to social distance. They ask you to stay with your family members. They're very cognizant of what's going on with the COVID problem. So they are being careful and sanitizing saws and being, following all the restrictions for COVID.
All right, Kathy Kogut, the Executive Director of the Connecticut Christmas Tree Growers Association. We appreciate you spending a few minutes with us here on CT21. We also want to take a minute to talk about last week's program, specifically the segment we did on rising gas prices. We heard from a number of you after that segment aired. We want to share a couple of the opinions that came our way. First, from Alan Friedrich, who posted, "Shame on you. Your interview with the Gas Station Association representative was full of misinformation. The cancellation of the Keystone XL pipeline has nothing to do with the price of gas or our energy independence." And Petro Giovanni Bianchi also shared some thoughts, congratulating us for our, quote, excellent interview with the executive director of GASTA. Most news organizations are glossing over the real problem. At last, someone told the truth. We want to share your thoughts on the topics, on all topics, including those we tackled this morning. If you'd like to weigh in, send us an email. Our address is ct21@wfsb.com. As we did today, we'll be sharing some of those comments with you as we go along.